people participate, well, then we have to do photo waivers, but if we give, thank you for sharing those cute pictures.
Oh, yes.
We love the ones with the two kids,
I
and that was
know.
not performed in any way.
No.
That little boy was so precocious, and he was telling us every single detail, and what they ate, and this and that.
And you were listening so
Oh,
intently. You can tell by the
exactly.
picture, it was darling.
Exactly.
It was a fun
sweet
event.
night.
It was nice.
Okay, places, everybody?
Loved how you went around and,
Marketed us.
yes, thank you.
Okay, before we begin, my usual reminder to the commissioners to unmute yourself and state your name when you're speaking. And also, I want to mention that for voting on any measure or action today, the commissioners will be using the voting touchscreen. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call to order the May 16th, 2023 Senior Citizen Commission meeting at 2:00 p.m. Have we done roll call? Looks like everybody is here, except for Commissioner Tobias. Commissioner Angel, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? This is item 4 on the agenda, special presentations and proclamations. Today, we'd like to start with Marilyn Greenblatt, who is the Director of Transportation, Jewish Family Service of San Diego, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the On the Go program, Transportation Solutions for Older Adults. Welcome.
Okay, what do I do? Am I on? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Yes, my name is Marilyn Greenblatt, and I am the Director of Transportation at Jewish Family Service with the On the Go Transportation Program. And thank you for saying our tagline, Transportation Solutions for Older Adults. Thank you for having me. And I will tell you about our On the Go program. On the Go is a comprehensive umbrella program consisting of a variety of transportation options. The largest component is called Rides and Smiles, which was actually first launched in 2004 in the Rancho Bernardo Poway communities. Rides and Smiles is a volunteer-based service providing individual rides to medical appointments, grocery shopping, hair appointments, social and religious destinations, and more. It is a donation-based program. The agency sends out donation letters periodically to everyone that has received rides and gives the opportunity to donate to the program. If someone is unable to donate, they are not refused a ride. There is a 20 to 25 mile limit on ride destinations from the rider's home. We provide rides 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. We do require a minimum of 7 days advance notice. On the Go is a curb-to-curb service for older adults 60 and above, residing in one of the 45 zip codes throughout San Diego County that we currently serve. And that is dictated through the grants that we receive. Rides are guaranteed, and they are provided one of 3 ways. Hopefully by a volunteer, but when volunteers are not available, we do use on-the-go staff drivers and also rideshare service. Right now it's with Lyft. We will also have Uber soon as well. So it's a guarantee for the person, and it's still under that Rides and Smiles donation-based service. And we consider On the Go more than just a ride. It's about fueling the sense of connection, independence, and mobility that defines aging well. We often receive many words of appreciation from riders saying On the Go is a lifeline to them and how it's allowed them to remain living independently in their homes. There is an enrollment process to join the On the Go program. We used to have an enrollment fee of $20, but that's no longer in effect. And we don't have a limit on the number of rides that anyone can request. We work with a web-based scheduling system that our volunteers access to accept rides according to their availability. So it's not like they have to be available 9 to 12 or every Tuesday. It's totally up to them, and they determine their volunteer experience. In addition to phone call requests that we usually receive, requests can be made through that web-based scheduling system as well. So riders that are a little tech savvy can use that system to request their rides, and loved ones, caregivers can use it as well. So another transportation option that's under the On the Go umbrella is On the Go Navigator. It is an on-demand service, so we need at least 30 minutes advance notice. And it is strictly provided through rideshare. It is provided Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it is something that our riders do pay for. It is fee-based. So we have credit cards or debit cards on file that we charge their card the following day for whatever Lyft charges us, plus a $4 service fee. We monitor that ride from pickup to drop-off. We speak to the rider, let them know what the car is, what the driver is, the last three of the license plate number. We connect with the driver, make sure that those connections take place, and it's a successful pickup. On the Go also provides group shuttle service. We have, at Jewish Family Service, we have the Balboa Avenue Older Adult Center, where we bring people to that center. And we also have some community partners with customized shuttle service. We also have On the Go excursions, and that is group transportation for social events, educational events. We go to theaters, we go to museums, we are going to the Carlsbad flower fields, and that's always very exciting for our riders. So statistically, we have close to about 2,000 riders enrolled in the program, and with the Rides and Smiles volunteer driver component, we average about 2,500 rides a month. And as I mentioned earlier, we serve those living in the 45 zip codes throughout San Diego County. And basically, it's the North County Inland region, it's North County Coastal, and it's the Eastern San Diego region down by the college area. We did expand to Encinitas in about, it was 2019, just before COVID hit. And of course, COVID had a tremendous impact on the program, on many things, certainly at On the Go. Transportation pretty much came to a screeching halt. But we have recovered from pre-pandemic numbers and actually are surpassing that now. We currently have 74 riders that are in the Encinitas areas, and we have provided over 1,400 rides to date. Seacrest Village Encinitas is a community partner, and we do provide some group transportation as needed for them. And On the Go is promoted in many ways. Of course, it's on our Jewish Family Service website, social media, newspaper ads, community service groups and partners, and presentations like this one. I did bring some marketing materials, I think, that you have received. So it's program information, and it's also a flyer on volunteerism. We are always in need of volunteers. You cannot have enough volunteers. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Angel here. Well, first I'd like to thank you for this wonderful presentation. I was a volunteer with Jewish Family Service for many years, primarily on the Behavioral Health Committee there, and I'm well aware
Wonderful.
of this program and the magnitude that it has in older adults' lives to enable them to remain, viable and be able to have more independence. So I thank you for that. I do have one or two questions related to your presentation. The first question I have is, when someone would go online, if they are, as you said, tech savvy, and make the online request, that is my understanding is regarding the Rides and Smiles. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And if I understood you correctly, you also mentioned that a caregiver and perhaps a family member might be able to do that once the individual is in fact enrolled in the program?
Exactly, yes.
Great, thank you. And my last question has to do with the On the Go Navigator. You mentioned that you use a rideshare program, and my question is, how might that differ versus someone just calling an Uber or Lyft? Is there a reduced fee because it is collaborative with JFS?
It's not a reduced fee, but many of the older adults that we serve, especially those that are 80, 90s, they don't know how to use their phone. So that's where we come in. And so it makes them feel safe and comfortable that someone is monitoring it for them, arranging it. So, yeah.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Commissioners, any other questions for Marilyn? Thank you so much for coming out to see us. Oh, is
I
there?
think
Go
we
ahead.
have another one.
Just to say thank you, that was a great presentation, and
Oh, thank you.
I wasn't aware of the scope. I knew you had it, and thank you, Commissioner Mark.
Thank you. I've had the privilege of being with this program since 2004. So I've watched it grow from 5 volunteers to about 12 seniors, and now we have a whole department of transportation at JFS and all these different components. We have drivers, we have office staff, and it's just made an amazing impact in the community. So it's been a wonderful ride.
Thank you,
No
Marilyn, for
pun.
coming out to see us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. So for Rides and Smiles, it's a 7-day advance notice.
And for how long? Let's suppose that I'm on treatment, I have to go to the hospital, I have to go for the next 2 months, once a week. Can I schedule that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. absolutely. We have a lot of recurring rides, those that are going for certain treatments, those that are going for dialysis, so, yeah.
Excuse me, Commissioner Angel, again, that just brought up something else. With regard to hospital or medical appointments, I would imagine the individual getting the ride would want a ride back home. How does that work? Can you help me understand what happens during the time frame that the individual is in fact at their medical appointment? Thank you.
Yeah, so many of our rides are listed as one-way, even though they are a round trip for the person. So it's one driver that takes them to the location and a different driver that brings them home. The only situations where we can't provide that ride home from is a medical procedure if they're being sedated. So that's unfortunately a liability, and someone usually has to sign them out, which we cannot do.
Thank you very much, Marilyn.
Welcome.
So this is Commissioner Hanwitt, just tagging on to that question. So if somebody has an appointment, you take them to the appointment, how do you know, do they have to notify you when they're ready to go home? I mean, how would you know?
So we've learned over the years that usually allowing an hour for a routine medical appointment works just fine. If they are going to have an appointment and lab work, ask the doctor's office how long you're expected to be. And always err on the side of caution, add a few extra minutes to it. If they don't know, they can always use Navigator for the return and call when they're ready. And then we can dispatch a lift to the person.
Sure.
This would be a great opportunity to, as a group, to pick up seniors individually and get them in here to voice themselves. Honestly, I've been
Okay.
spending time here to a senior meeting. There's not too many people here, and it's, I know they have voices and they want to talk. And I've been a caregiver. I'm 64 now. I know what it's about. But it'd be nice if they were more seniors were here, I know you all appreciate that. And
We do.
if they can, you gotta say it, right?
Yeah, as long as they're enrolled and they can request the rides, yeah.
You gotta bring it up.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks again, Marilyn.
thank you.
Our next speaker is Jessie Hanwitt. She's my vice chair, sitting next to me. She's also on the ad hoc committee for grant funding in our work plan, and she is going to give us a presentation about the grant process overview.
It's always funny to be down here when I've just been up there. So the reason this came about was that Christy and I were talking about how when we develop the ad hoc committees, that it's not unusual for somebody to say, oh, well, maybe we can do something and get grant funding. And so we started to think that maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have me do a quick and dirty overview of what it takes to get a proposal ready to be submitted, so that you could have that in your head as you're coming up with great ideas that you want your ad hoc committee to be able to do. So I'm just going to quickly, and this is just a quick 14-minute presentation, have a little introduction, talk about creating a budget, the types of foundations that are out there that we could apply to, areas that you should be focusing on. I've extracted some sample questions from proposals that I've written, and then there'll be a little summary. So let's say you wake up in the morning and you have had a dream and you have the most perfect idea ever that you want to be able to bring to your ad hoc committee to get funding for. And it's a great idea, but it's going to cost about $14,000 to make it happen. So what do you have to do next? Well, I just wanted to share that often when I am getting ready to write a grant, I kind of think of it as a combination of writing a research paper in graduate school and being a lawyer getting ready to present opening arguments in a criminal trial. And I say that because you really do have to have research. You can't just come up with an idea that's not based on something that's either already happened or you can prove that it's happened in other places, it's going to do well here. And the lawyer thing is you also have to be really dedicated and enthusiastic about it. And you're being a salesperson. When you write that grant proposal, you're winning over the person that's reading the grant proposal and that's going to make the decision about whether or not it's going to get funded. And they very often could be somebody that knows absolutely nothing about the kinds of things that you want to do. So you have to be able to sell that idea with all the enthusiasm that you have. So I always say that the first thing to do is to write a budget. And the reason that I say that, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is that when it comes to finding a funder for your project, every funder will fund a different amount. And you want to know, not precisely, it's not the budget that you're going to be submitting, but a good idea of how much you're asking for. Because if you're going to need that $14,000 that we talked about before, and the funder that you found is a foundation that's perfect in every way, but they give an average of $3,000. If you ask for $4,000, you're not going to get it. So if you have that budget, then at least you have a pretty good idea of how you can choose a funder for your project. And so that budget has to include, like, let's say you're going to need supplies of some sort. You have to order them. You have to really think of every single expense you're going to have. And if you have supplies, you have to include shipping costs and any other costs involved with getting a tax. If you're going to have, if you need space, you have to think about if that is going to cost anything. If you're thinking you're going to have to hire a person, which is kind of a hard thing to get funded, but you have to think of that too. But you also have to think of the things that you might be able to get without them costing anything, but they would cost something if that wasn't available, such as somebody donating space or a volunteer, or even someplace like Target saying, oh, sure, we can give you this amount. And the reason that it's so important to have that complete amount is you wouldn't want to get your $14,000 and then you start your project and realize that you really needed $15,500, because where is that other money going to come from? You're simply not going to have it. So that's why I always suggest that you have a rough budget to start with. So then it's important to choose a funder, and there are 3 different kinds of funders. There's family foundations, and those are just people that have plenty of money and they want to use some of it to encourage people to write grants and meet their areas, their priority areas that they have. And then there are community foundations like the San Diego Community Foundation, and they're made up of kind of a conglomeration of family foundations, a lot of donors, and they have a specific area that they'll give in. For instance, of course, you probably know this, if you live in Escondido, you're not going to ask, if not Escondido, if you live in Los Angeles, you're not going to ask the San Diego Foundation for money. Corporations give plenty of grant money, and the way you find out about that is you go to their website and you look down at the bottom and it'll say something like community outreach or community relations, and sometimes it's just specific nonprofits that they will work with, and other times it's open. I mean, like Target and Walmart and Best Buy and the banks, they all will give grants, but you just have to find the one that's going to give something for the kind of project that you have. And then there are government grants, starting with the city grants, like the one that Lambert just lived through, going through, who was going to get the grant and who wasn't. Unfortunately, even though Encinitas is very generous and has a grant, we're not eligible for it because we are the city, so we can't apply for an Encinitas grant. But there are county grants, and that's how we got the exercise equipment with some other help as well. There are state grants and there are federal grants, but when you get to state and federal, the application is very complicated. The amount of information you have to send throughout the year is very complicated. There's a lot of reporting that has to be done, and even though they give a whole lot more money, I have a feeling that the city or Parks and Rec is not going to want to get involved in having to deal with a government grant. So the thing that you have to remember with the funders is that they usually have a priority area that they fund, and you can't look at like a family foundation that has an address that says Rancho Santa Fe. They might give all their money to Detroit, Michigan. So you have to really look and see what their areas, geographic area that they will fund. They usually have a focus, a priority focus. You know, it could be early childhood education, it could be environment, and if you have to match whatever their focus is, or again, you won't get you won't be able to get the funding, and there's the money issue. So you have to try to find out, which you can do, because you can even look at their tax returns and see who they've given to and what kinds of organizations they've given money to and how much. So if it doesn't say anything about it on their website, you can still figure that out. And that's a really important thing. You don't want to ask for way more or even way less than you might be able to get for them. The other thing, too, to remember is that we are a public entity. These places all give to 501c3 nonprofits, and some of them will give to a public entity in school districts, but not all. So that's something that you have to know, and if it doesn't say anything about it one way or the other on the funder's website, you can get in touch with them and ask that question, because you don't want to do a whole proposal and then find out they don't fund public entities. So then when you're thinking of your great idea, you have to keep these things in mind. Demographics, and by that I mean, you know, you have to figure out how many people you're going to work with, ages, if it's appropriate, gender, and socioeconomic level. Usually funders like to fund problems. They want to help alleviate problems. So the worst case scenario is always the easier one to sell. And, you know, like for instance, if you're talking about seniors in Encinitas, maybe people that are isolated, or, you know, you think of the things that are going to tug at somebody's heartstrings, and they're probably all true, but you have to remember to mention them. You have to have a very significant need that you're addressing and know what the results are that you expect to see, and you have to put that in the proposal. And it's nice to have a sustainability plan, because if you ask for money that you're going to use up, it's not like the equipment. We're going to have that equipment outside for a long time, but if you are asking for salary or supplies of some sort, you're going to use them up in that year. Funding is usually a year. Then how are you going to keep the program going the following year? So you have to always keep that in mind. And you may have to write a final report. So during that whole year, you have to keep track of what you're doing and be ready to have some information ready at the end of the year. So I came up with 4 questions that came from proposals that I had written over the years. And the first one we've really talked about already, but I wanted to put it in there because it says brief description of the project. And another thing that you have to remember is that with all of these proposals, they're all online now, and most of them have a character or a word limit. So even if they have a box under the question, once you know, if you make the font small, it's not going to make any difference, even if you could fit tiny font into that box. When you get to that word or that character limit, it's just going to stop accepting your type. So you have to be brief, but you have to be brief, you have to be concise, but yet you have to be enthusiastic and, you know, all those things. But that's something definitely to keep in mind. The question number 2, organization, description, and purpose is a very common question, and you can talk about the demographics that the city is serving, the senior center is serving. They want a picture. And they might be somebody, you know, let's say you apply to a corporation grant and it's somebody that's living in New Mexico that's reading this thing. You want to give them a snapshot of what it looks like here, and be able to, you know, make them understand why you're asking for what you're asking. With number 3, this is also a very common question, and it's another reason to have that budget sitting right next to you. They want to know how your funds are going to be used and provide dollar amounts. So you, in the grant, in the narrative, you have to write exactly how much you're spending for what. So you really have to know that. You have to understand, you know, where this money is going, and how it's going to help you meet your goals, and how the clients will be helped by these dollars. Because we're talking about a lot of money. I mean, I don't think I ever wrote, you know, most grants are like $3,000 or more. If somebody's giving you $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, that's a lot of money. So, you know, you have to be responsible in getting that information across to them. And then they usually ask what the organization's qualifications are. And that can be your qualifications. You wouldn't have to mention your name, but if you're running a program and you have a specific background, work that you've done in the past that you can put in there, it just makes it more credible. So that's why I wanted to add that. So in summary, you have to thoroughly think through that project, get that budget developed that covers every imaginable expected expense, make sure that goals are very clear and concise and clearly expressed, and that you're also including other, you know, if your idea that you thought of that morning includes other agencies, like if you wanted to work with the Boys and Girls Club or the schools or something like that, that has to really be set in stone before you put in an application. You know, you might need a memorandum of understanding, who's responsible for this, who's responsible for that, and how is the money going to be handled? So that's another thing to really keep in mind. You have to find that funder that has gives away the money to the people to the applicants that meet their needs. Make sure that the funder will work with a public entity, and that you know the geographical area that the funder will work with, and make sure you know about deadlines. That's the only thing I didn't mention before. But some places have open deadlines, like the county, I think, they have an open deadline, so you can apply at any time. But most foundations have a specific deadline, and of course you have to you can't call them the day after and say, oh, you know, my computer wasn't working, my internet was down, I couldn't get it in. They don't care. So you have to get your application in on time, and even after you get it in, normally it takes, you know, a month, 6 weeks before you even hear back, and then of course they could say no. I mean, that happens too. But that's something that you have to keep in mind as you're planning, that you're not going to submit this grant and have the money the next day. It's not going to happen. So, are there any questions? That was it. There is one more questions slide.
I have a question.
Sure.
Commissioner Farley. Would you be able to make this available over email to all of us? I'd like a copy of it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And you know, when I was grant writing, and when it was my job, I was writing for mostly teachers. And I always told them, because if you come up with the idea, it's your project. It's not the grant writer's project. So the person wouldn't have to write everything out, the whole narrative or anything. I would send them questions. They would answer in bullets. But these are the kinds of questions that you're going to get. So, you have to be able to have that information. There's no way that a grant writer would know what your goals are. So, it's sort of like a give and take kind of a partnership when you write a grant.
So, Commissioner Ling, and I wanted to add that each of our work plan items, each of the ad hoc groups, it's going to be a collaboration with the grant funding ad hoc group if you need funding for your programs. So that's something that always comes up in the regular meeting. If there is a program that requires funding, that gets communicated to the grant funding ad hoc, and then people like Jesse can get to work and see what we can do. Oh, Manager.
Manager Hamer, I wanted to just also add that I have had extensive experience working with healthcare and hospitals for grants, and that's just a whole nother area that is always looking for supporting and promoting healthy lifestyles or older adult lifestyles. So do not count them out. That's a great resource too.
Thank you.
Go back to my seat.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 5, oral communications and possible direction to staff. Do we have speakers today?
We do not.
Agenda item 6, changes to the agenda. Are there any changes to today's agenda?
There are none.
All right, that brings us to agenda item 7, approval of the minutes. We would like to approve the April 18th, 2023 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Commissioner Hanwett. I make a motion to approve the April 18th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Commissioner Hanwood makes the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Farley, I'll second that.
Commissioner Farley seconds. We will go to touchscreen voting to approve the minutes.
Let the record show it passes unanimously.
That takes us to action item 8, communicating and reviewing the work plan outcomes since our April meeting. So let's get started with that. Item 1 is attend city-sponsored and city-partnered local community events, serving as city ambassadors. Any updates for outcomes for this item?
Well, this is Commissioner Hanwett. I'm not sure if this would fit here, but I know Karen and I acted to set up the State of the City event. I wasn't at the event, but we were certainly there before.
This is Commissioner Angel. I also volunteered at the State of the City event, so that counts. And I have an additional engagement since the last meeting. That was volunteering with the Taste of Cardiff, which is put on by Cardiff 101.
And Commissioner Farley, I also was at the State of the City event, and I helped clean up a little bit.
Commissioner Koblenchus, I was at the State of the City, and I was also at the movie night last week, and it was very fun, but I didn't get to stay for the movie because I got cold.
And I'm guessing you were at the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast as well?
Oh, yeah, I was actually at the Mayor Prayer Breakfast. I was actually the co-host, San Diego Interfaith Ministerial Association, and it was wonderful. And I did get the pictures, thank you, 189 of them. So if anybody's interested, let me know. It was very fun, and it was great to see the first one with Tony, just a change from Catherine, and we enjoyed it. So thanks for reminding me.
Commissioner Martin, I also attended the movie night, and it was very well attended. I was kind of surprised. I thought that the attendance was coming in so slowly that it was going to be just a very small group, but it kept getting larger and larger, and the scope of people came well beyond Encinitas. the age range for children seemed to be 10 and below. We ended up giving out the brochures for the community center to most of the families, and talking about the different programs and the art programs. I thought it was very well attended from a community that was looking at actually the programs for the children as well as some of the senior programs, actually. There were several people that were looking at the senior programs, so.
Thank you. Everyone was busy last month. Work plan item 2, identify guest speakers for monthly meetings to provide education regarding topics related to adults 50 plus and find platforms to disseminate the information to adults 50 plus. Any updates?
This is Commissioner Angel. I have been in contact ongoing with the manager of the Feeling Fit program, and through email conversations, I did request or engage in a conversation regarding the possibility of the county providing an individual to brief our commission on the Feeling Fit program.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Farley, I reached out to Age Well San Diego. They have an intergenerational program, and I just reached out to them to see if maybe somebody could possibly come to speak to us about the county-wide program.
Thank you. Any other updates? That brings us to work plan item 3, engage as organizers and volunteers with local community service organizations and the Community and Senior Center. Any updates on outcomes?
This is Commissioner Martin. I don't know if this fits in here, but the gallery, that had the garden tour, I think that sort of encompassed things for off-track gallery, but the money went to the junior college for student loans or student grants. And anyway, I attended that event on Sunday.
Okay, I have a couple of volunteer requests. We have a request for a commissioner to volunteer to participate in Assembly Member Tasha Bomer's Assembly District 77 Working Group on Aging and Long-Term Care, which meets 3 to 4 times a year. I believe Commissioner Hanwood participated in this a couple of years ago, and things kind of changed, and they dropped the working group for a little while, but they're trying to bring it back for this year. So if you are interested in participating and volunteering, we are not limited to just one commissioner. It can be 1, 2, or 3. That way we have backups in case one of us is not able to attend. So if you're interested now, you can let me know. Otherwise, let Manager Goodsell know.
This is Commissioner Angel, and I am interested in engaging in this opportunity.
Okay. Anyone else at this moment? So the second volunteer request it's from me. I am still asking for any volunteers to support the Playful Connections game event, which is happening this Saturday, the 20th of May, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So if any of you find a little extra time on your Saturday afternoon, please let me know, and we can add you to the list. It should be a lot of fun.
I had a question about that event. One of the comments that came up during the movie night was that it was going to be multi-generational, with little kids all the way up to adults. Is that correct?
They are all invited.
Good. Thank you.
So the only caveat is children under 12 must be accompanied by a responsible adult. Okay, that brings me to work plan item 4, continue partnership with the Encinitas Rotary Club and explore other Encinitas Service Club partnerships to recognize or promote the Senior Citizen of the Year and Lifetime Achievement Award. Any updates on outcomes today?
This is Commissioner Martin. The three of us met and just briefly talked about the structure of the plan, and then that we were going to talk when Peter came back with more information.
Okay.
And this is Manager Goodsell. Just as a reminder, the award recipients will be honored at the Encinitas Rotary Luncheon on May 24th at noon, and they'll also be honored at the City Council meeting on May 24th as well.
Thank you. Work Plan Item 5, create new and sustain ongoing intergenerational programming in collaboration with the Encinitas Youth Commission and other service organizations. As you probably have heard by now, there is a Get Your Game On flyer and a press release that have been provided for the Playful Connections cross-generational event, which is this Saturday, May 20th, from 1 to 3. I should also point out this is going to be the last collaborative program that this term's Youth Commission and the Senior Citizen Commission will be doing as their term ends first week of June. So if you've been waiting for the opportunity to push forward your own intergenerational program, this is the time to start kicking that off. We will probably resume working with the Youth Commission again, hopefully when they come back for their next term this fall. Any other updates? Okay, moving on. Work Plan Item 6, create new and sustain ongoing programs for adults 50 plus, including computer assistance, Feeling Fit Club, and class offerings at the Encinitas Community and Senior Center, Encinitas Parks, and/or San Diego County Libraries in Encinitas. Any outcome updates?
Commissioner Koblenz, Commissioner Martin and Commissioner Farias and I met and had a very nice conversation about what it looked like, and we were very anxious to share more when Peter comes back and work off some of the other work plans that will feed off of it.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Angel. Mindful that I was on this particular work plan item for the last 3 years, I just want to let the commission know that I did reach out again regarding the Feeling Fit program and the possibility of bringing that program to the city of Encinitas. I'm still in talks with the county, and there is a possibility of bringing the program, and there's details that need to be looked into further to determine whether or not there is a clear path forward for that.
Thank you. Work Plan Item 8, explore grant funding opportunities based on the community needs and survey results.
This is Manager Goodsell.
sorry.
I think we missed item 7.
No, you're right. Sorry about that. Work Plan Item 7, leverage participation in Age Well San Diego 2.0 conversations to create recommendations and programs that can directly affect the adult 50-plus community in Encinitas.
This is Commissioner Hanwitt. I attended the Age Well Housing Team meeting on May 4th, and they had guest speakers from the Regional Task Force on Homelessness. It was very enlightening and interesting.
Commissioner Farley, and I have been working with the Age Well group. I went on their website and found that they have a calendar, and if you click on the different cities, it brings up the calendar from that particular city. Except when I went into the city of Encinitas, I'm not sure if there's something that we have to do to like activate that, but it'd be nice to be able to publish our calendar on their website for some of the events that we have. I also saw that on May 19th, it's Older Americans Mental Health Day. And one of the other things I realized about what Age Well has been doing is, and I don't know if there's been more conversations about this, but it seems like they're trying to eliminate the word senior and calling people older adults. That was just an observation.
Thank you. Any other updates for that item? Okay, now we're down to work plan item 8. Explore grant funding opportunities based on community needs and survey results. Any updates?
Well, this is Commissioner Hanwett, and I kind of did this without the ad hoc. It just came into my mind, and I talked to Christy about it, but I've been concerned about the fact that we don't have any shade for the exercise equipment on the patio, and I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think it's smart to expect people to go out there without that shade. The original money that we received for the shade sales did not work because they can't bring the equipment needed back there in order to put them up. So we got bids for cantilevered, huge commercial cantilevered umbrellas, and they're expensive. And it just occurred to me one day, well, gosh, the San Diego Senior Foundation has a focus on senior centers, and maybe they might be willing to fund something like that. I mean, I have no idea if they won't or not, but I wrote up a little something and sent it to Christy, and she sent it on in. So we'll see what happens.
Commissioner Koblenz, Commissioner Howard, and Director Christie, do we not have some money left over from what we didn't use because they were more expensive?
This is Manager Goodsell. The money was returned to the county because we weren't able to fulfill the obligations of the grant.
Thank you.
And the umbrellas are expensive. I think it was around $58,000 or $53,000. I mean, they're really expensive, so they need a grant. They're very sturdy and big. It's like a 10-foot. So
That's
anyway.
correct. This is Manager Goodsell. The quotes ranged from $54,000 to $68,000 for the cantilever structures.
Okay, on to work plan item 9. Develop and conduct a survey for adults 50 plus to gain insight into programs and services for this demographic. Some updates?
Commissioner Martin, the three of us commissioners met with city, various meetings, and fine-tuned with the strong help of our chair, doing most of the work on the survey and the survey updates. It was enlightening to me, the process of the meetings and the fine-tuning, but I believe we have a finished version of the survey here for your review.
Do, and it's actually at the bottom of the attachment for the work plan. There is a cover page. The final cover page will also have a QR code for the online survey through SurveyMonkey. There are two other QR codes, one to enroll in an activity, the other to participate, to volunteer. That's the cover page. It turns out the back of the second page, the back of the cover page is also a space to write additional comments. But it's the survey itself, the questionnaire itself, is 2 sides of 1 sheet. So I'm hoping everyone's had a chance to take a
Great
peek
work.
at this.
Great work. Good job.
So what I would like is to see if there is a motion.
I want to say something first.
okay.
Commissioner Koblenz, I really appreciate the collaborative effort with not only the ad hoc, but with the city. And I just want to share that this really, truly is, to be kind of sappy, a labor of love, looking at how we can best serve going forward our seniors. I happened to be walking on my street, and one of my neighbors was talking about how excited that she was at A, I told her we were going to have a survey, and B, she loved the Zumba class, and C, she loved having the catalog in her hand. So I know it's just, I'm reporting on what she's going to write in the survey.
Thank you. So with that, I would like to see if there is a motion to approve the adult 50-plus senior survey.
This is Commissioner Angel. I'll make a motion to approve the adult 50-plus survey.
Commissioner Angel makes the motion to approve the survey. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Farley, I'll second.
Commissioner Farley seconds. We get to vote.
I think it's Commissioner Farley is the second.
Okay, we'll fix that. Yes. But it looks like motion passes. So thank you, everybody, and at this point, we can launch the survey, yes? Any other updates for work plan item 9? No, not yet.
This is Commissioner Angel. I do have a quick question going back to this last work plan item. How will these surveys be sent out, disseminated to the general population?
This is Manager Goodsell. The survey will be emailed out via constant contact from our contacts that we've collected through ActiveNet registrations and programming. And then there'll also be hard copies available at the libraries in Encinitas, as well as the Community and Senior Center and City Hall. And then the expectation is for the commissioners to spread the word, to send the link. There'll be a Survey Monkey link, so I can provide that to you, and then you can spread the word, as well as pass out hard copy surveys. Just note that any hard copy surveys that are collected will need to be hand tallied as far as the results go.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to work plan item 10, research best practices as it relates to adult 50-plus issues and send letters of support needed to city council and commissions. Any updates or comments?
Commissioner Koblenz, working on supporting again the housing element. I'm sure many of you have seen that we're a little bit behind. I work with Bob Kent and some of the other people there, and I would like to bring a letter of support as soon as it's drafted, which will probably be obviously next month.
Okay, and I actually have a couple of opportunities, I think, for this ad hoc group as well. One is a few months ago, we spoke to someone from engineering about the permitting process, and it's been 90 days plus, and I think we need to take the opportunity to write a letter of encouragement about some of the things we would like to see for permitting, specifically for providing assistance for seniors who are not used to the online process, and also to streamline permitting for modifications for aging in place. The second opportunity, I think, and this came up in our presenter from AARP, but regarding age-friendly communities, and that is to encourage the city to look again at applying for the AARP Age-Friendly Community Program, because currently we are not. And it turns out that when I was looking at the website, there is also some opportunities for funding in terms of the AARP Community Challenge grants. Have we looked at that before? Yeah. Hard?
The problem is that it's a national grant.
Yeah.
So you have competition from all over the country and from a lot of areas that are a lot needier as far as demographics
Yeah.
go than we are. So, yeah, we did try that.
That's all I have for that one. So for May 24th, I will be at the city council meeting to advise of the past year's work plan outcomes and also to review our goals and intended outcomes for the new work plan. So hopefully that all goes under the consent calendar, but I'll be there just in case. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 9, informational items. Manager Goodsell, do you have an operations report for us?
All right, thank you, Chair Ling. 443 meals were provided at the Senior Nutrition Program in April, and 175 one-way rides were given. The special nutrition events held this month include the Birthday Sundays on May 5th, the Mother's Day theme party on May 12th, and bingo on May 16th. The upcoming themed nutrition days in June are Birthday Sundays on June 2nd, Safari Theme Party on June 7th, and bingo on June 20th. And there were a total of 674 non-nutrition participants registered for programs in April. This includes the fee-based classes such as arts and crafts, dance, fitness, games, as well as the free senior programs. We have an upcoming senior social dance that's going to be held on May 19th at 2 p.m., which is a Friday. The theme is Hit It Out of the Park, so wear your favorite team color that day. Admission is $5 at the door, and that includes a live band and refreshments. And St. Paul's Pace is going to be the sponsor of that dance. Art Night is coming up on Saturday, June 3rd from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., where you can enjoy an evening of art, live music, and refreshments. And there will also be a free shuttle to transport you between the civic art stops. And that concludes my operations report.
So just a comment, I'm told that senior nutrition lunch attendance is up during those special events. So
That is correct.
It does make a difference.
It sure does.
Manager Hamer, do you have department updates for us?
Yes, thank you. The summer guide is hot off the press. It was distributed to Encinitas homes over the weekend, and registration opened yesterday. There was approximately 300% increase in registration, which is quite large, and likely the post-COVID effect that allowed for people to be encouraged about getting out and intermingling in their community. The next guide will be a combination guide of fall and winter, and production will be starting in late June for that. As you already had mentioned, movie night was Saturday. It was tons of fun with our commissioner volunteers, as well as the state of the city. Thank you for everybody who participated. And it makes a difference when we have not only our commissioners, but our Encinitas VIPs, which is the new volunteer program that we started, that really has a positive impact on all that we do in the community. And it includes our community in what we do. The next movie night is not until October 14th, so it's going to be in the fall, and we're reviewing the location and themes, and that will be right around the corner with how fast time flies. The other thing I just wanted to mention that Manager Goodsell already did was about the city council meeting next week. We hope anybody can attend to give that recognition to your Lifetime Achievement and Senior Citizen of the Year recipients. It'll be very special. If you're there, we'd probably also take a group picture. And as she mentioned as well as the art night. Art night not only is an excellent opportunity to participate in it, but also to volunteer. So I'll be working with our Cultural Arts Division to find out what their needs are and what help they need, and we'll build in different shifts within our Logistics Encinitas VIP volunteer program. And of course, if any of you are interested in volunteering, we'll make sure you get the best seat in the house. And also already touched upon, excited about the event this Saturday. We did have a new youth commission assigned that will start in the fall, so we will be sure to make sure that integration and combination of shared efforts continues well beyond Saturday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manager Hamer. Agenda item 10, commission member initiated agenda items. Do we have any commission member initiated agenda items? I think, no. Item 11, future agenda items added by commission members. If you would like to add an agenda item for the next meeting, now's the time. No? Okay, that brings us to agenda item 12, commission reports, roundtable, all commissioners. So I'm going to go down the line again to ask commissioners if they have any announcements or reports to add. Commissioner Hanwitt?
This is Commissioner Hanwitt, and I have continued to work with the folks from the Village Movement that were here attending our meetings the last couple of months. And Encinitas has been accepted as an incubator program from California Village Movement. It's very exciting. They put a lot of work into providing information about how to actually get this started. So I think it's a really good thing. I'm glad that I'm a part of it. I see great things for it in the future with providing services to folks so that they can age in place.
Commissioner Angel?
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Farley?
As I mentioned, I've been in contact with Age Well San Diego and starting the conversation with the intergenerational program through the county. I also just wanted to make a comment that I guess the new development that's going on off of Manchester will be an independent living Belmont. I think that's, so I don't know if there's opportunity there since it's not going to, I don't think the emphasis is going to be on assisted living. It'll be more on independent living, which, you know, would probably be more of our focus as a commission to, you know, maybe get them to the senior center and participate in some of our activities here.
Commissioner Koblenz?
Nothing I can think of right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
This is just something I'd heard, but there does seem to be some planning for something right near me on Piraeus that I think might be senior facility that's being debated tomorrow, or the 18th. Is that tomorrow night? I wasn't real clear on what was being constructed. It did sound like they would be affordable and people would purchase them, but that most of the things being developed in the city are actually rentals. But then somebody else in this impromptu gathering that I just happened to be sitting in said, yeah, but most of the developers or whatever are not comfortable renting to the people that might need this and are going to rent as Airbnbs instead. And so I was just thinking, maybe we should start attending some of these planning meetings when they are discussing some of the senior facilities that are being approved. Does anybody know anything about those? No. Anyway, that was just an eye-opener to me, but actually it came up on my trip too, that several countries were saying that people that own property, rather than renting to the many, many people that were on the street homeless, were renting out to Airbnb because it was easier legally and a more steady income. So
So,
just a thought.
so my understanding is when there are new construction, new development, that usually gets, there's first a neighborhood series of meetings. That's something that the developers have gotten used to doing. So they contact people within a certain radius of the proposed work. And then, of course, Planning Commission usually gets a heads up. And they will review the project and give their approval or disapproval.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, the May 16th, 2023 Senior Citizen Commission meeting is hereby adjourned at 3:10 p.m. Thank you, everybody.